You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcast. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook or Instagram. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in Trio software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows Trio programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former Trio staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with Trio. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Trio. In this episode, we have Ralph Parson III, a Trio alum of Eastern New Mexico University's Trio Upward Bound program. Ralph is in the podcast to talk about his experiences in the Upward Bound program, his memories, and reminiscing about everything that has happened in Upward Bound and post-Upward Bound. Just for the audience, and I say this during the podcast, Ralph is a personal friend of mine. He agreed to be on the podcast when I put the call out for alum and staff and participants to see if they wanted to share their story on the podcast. And what was exciting about Ralph's episode is that you get to really hear how our life got kind of how we met. We did meet through band, but is as hard as it is to believe, your host. I was a very shy person. I really kept to myself, didn't really talk to a lot of people. And then Upward Bound happened, and Ralph was the very first one to start coaxing me out of my introvert shell. And here in a minute, you'll hear that story of how Ralph was really a very sociable person, still is very sociable, and he just manages to bring out life in any situation that he's in. So, coming up in just a bit, Ralph Parson III, a personal friend of mine, and very happy to be with him in this podcast. Remember, if you would ever like to be featured on Let's Talk Trio, make sure you send us a message via Facebook, Instagram, or send us an email at Let's Talk Trio, all one word, LETSTALKTRIO @gmail.com. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Student Access and Angelica Villalpando, for continuing to sponsor the podcast. Thank you all so much. A special thank you to our listeners for you have not only helped us reach 30 episodes, we are gaining a nationwide audience, which is extraordinary. Thank you so much. Continue promoting us. Please share us on your social media pages. Hit those like buttons, comment, leave us a review on any of the platforms you listen to. We are excited to be part of Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Podbean, and now we are featured on Spotify. Ooh. So make sure you leave and comment or review. It really helps us target the audience as far as people listening to our podcast. Without any further delay, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. My guest on the podcast was born in Utah, but moved when his family was stationed to Okinawa, Japan, where he spent 7 years. He is an alum of the Trio Upward Bound program at Eastern New Mexico University, or ENMU, joined Upward Bound in 1999 and had his first summer experience in 2000. His family was then transferred to Clovis, New Mexico, where he would live for the next 16 years. He is a graduate of Clovis High School from Clovis, New Mexico of 2002, currently lives in Arizona with his kids and enjoys doing activities when he's not working. He serves as a customer service associate for Farmers Insurance. Please welcome my personal friend from high school and fellow Trio Upward Bound alum from Eastern New Mexico University, Ralph Parson III. Ralph, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Juan, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me today.
I am so happy to have you on. I'm doing good. How are you doing? How's family going for you?
Oh, well, it's great, man. I got summer with the kids, so I got all 5 of them out here, and it's crazy. It's crazy, but crazy good time.
A family of 5 kids, that's a full house.
Yes, it is. It is. And it's amazing how quiet they can be at times. I mean, they're all just about teenagers now. So.
Oh, wow. So I would imagine they would be making a lot of noise by now, but they're super quiet. Are they on their electronics or iPads or anything like that?
For the most part, my son plays a lot of the PlayStation 4 with his friends, so he's probably the loudest one when he's engaging in his thing.
Oh, I see.
But the girls are nice. They're quiet doing their reading, and they've been really big on this TikTok stuff here recently.
So you at least have an understanding of what TikTok is. Ralph, I have no idea what this TikTok thing even is. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So TikTok, I would say, if you remember Vines, those little 7-second videos.
I do remember Vines.
So take Vines and explode that. So now you've got TikTok dances. You've got times where you can just make short little clips of videos where, you just talk, maybe send a message or something.
I see. A
lot of people do like cosplays.
Oh.
You get to look at like different anime characters. A lot of the big things that I've been seeing is a lot of darker cosplay. So a lot of skeletons and ghouls and demons.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, wow.
But they're tasteful and they're funny. Some of them are funny. So it's a nice reprieve from everyday life,
Yeah. Well, what they say with technology, as you get older, some older folks just either stop understanding technology and they say, you know what, forget this, I don't want to even understand it. You seem to still hold on to your youth by understanding everything that comes out.
I've got no choice. These kids, this technology stuff is so you have to look at it because, with all technology, it makes it easier for, people to get at you or your family. So I have to stay on top of what's going on to protect my family, but at the same time to know what they're doing. So when they come at me with, hey, Dad, can we do this TikTok dance? I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So, Ralph, I got to say, you're on the cutting edge of parenting because I think a lot of parents would be intimidated by new technology or even TikTok, as it would be really hard for one person to say, well, I understand what that means, but you seem to have a good grasp of kind of what is the new trend and the new things that are coming up.
I generally catch them on the backslide. TikTok has been around for quite some time, and I am just now learning about it and getting into it, but once it comes to my attention and I'm looking at it, I like to delve into it so I know what my kids are looking at.
Yeah. Well, Ralph, I've always known you to be always on the forefront, always educating yourself and always continuing to learn more. And that's what we're going to get into the podcast more, is about kind of the type of person you are and what you brought not only to Upward Bound, but to where you currently work and how you currently manage life. So my next question to you is really, I'm still trying to process that it's been 20 years ago that we joined the Upward Bound program, and then 18 years ago that we graduated high school. How is that landing for you?
Well, now I feel extremely old.
I'm so sorry.
But 20 years Upward Bound, 18 years graduated.
Yeah.
Dude, it doesn't feel like it.
Right?
It does not. It's not even a little bit. I still remember getting up early in the morning for, marching band recitals,
Oh,
practicing.
Yeah.
I remember high school. I remember meeting up with friends for cafeteria or getting
That's
off to go
right.
get McDonald's or something, but for it to have been almost 2 decades now since we've graduated is unbelievable.
It's unreal. Absolutely. Because when I look at our class and and look at everybody that we were with Upward Bound, not only Upward Bound, but our Clovis High School graduating class, none of us have really changed all that much.
No. And I've seen that a lot too. I mean, there are people that were dating in high school that are still to this day married with families and happy, and it's amazing to see that, especially when, they look exactly like they did in high school.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, it's amazing to see, but it's so baffling.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember you in high school. What are you doing with kids?
Right? It's like somebody should give these people licenses to have kids. Or, I mean, some people are doing extremely well having kids, but it's baffling to see. I agree. It's kind of like dumbfounding. Like, you have kids? Wow. How many?
But I love it. I love seeing it.
That's great.
Because it makes me feel like, life is still going on. No matter what happens, you still move on, and having a connection with some of the old high school buddies and stuff it's a great reminder.
Yeah. Wow. So that reflection really brings up a lot for the audience. Ralph and I were part of the same band in Clovis High School. I remember waking up early in the morning and having to do marching band practice. Also waking up early in the morning to go to the Upward Bound Saturday meetings.
Yeah, Saturday meetings. Nobody wanted to give up Saturdays.
No one.
But Upward Bound was definitely a good reason to give up a Saturday. I enjoyed my Saturday mornings at Upward Bound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Croissant.
So, yeah, go ahead, Ralph. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying croissants from Burger King.
Oh, yeah.
Breakfast. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. So, Ralph, the audience got a little bit about you at the top of the program. Can you tell us about your life growing up and how you transitioned to high school? How was that like for you?
Ooh, so I'm a military brat. So for me, a lot of the times when people think of military brats, they think of, moving back and forth to so many different places. I didn't have that experience. So we went to Okinawa, when I was like 9 months old. We stayed there for 7 years and then stopped in Clovis, New Mexico, where we were there for 16. So I was actually blessed to grow up in one location. So I had the same friends growing up all the way from 4th grade all the way up through high school most of the time. And it was it was good. I felt like I kind of missed out a little bit just because, as I grew, I heard a lot of, some of our students that came in from other countries that are also military. They're talking about these different places they lived, and I didn't have that. But at the same time, they don't have, friends that they've grown up with since 4th grade or 5th grade. And it did impact how I was going to school because I had consistency, with my friends, with the schools that I was in. So I didn't have to relearn or learn something new every chance that I had. So it was good.
And so being with the same group of friends and then going into high school, were there any transitioning, challenging moments for you?
I think for me, it was making sure that my grades counted now, going from middle school and elementary where it's just like, oh, you got an F in math, you need to do better, to you got an F in math, you're not going to get into college like that. I think that was the biggest change for me is trying to do good because I want to be able to do good going into college, and I need that opportunity. I needed those grades to get me where I needed to go or where I wanted to go.
Yeah. And so making that transition into high school, how did you hear about the Upward Bound program? How did you get involved?
My dad got me involved in Upward
Oh,
Bound.
really?
Yeah, I knew nothing about Upward Bound until I had a meeting with Doris. My dad
I remember Doris. Yeah.
that was my first introduction of Upward Bound. I had actually been struggling with my grades,
Mm-hmm.
getting my homework in, doing the work in class. I wouldn't say that I didn't know the material, but I didn't take the initiative to do it. I didn't care. I mean, homework, whatever, as long as I score good on my test, my grades are going to be good,
Mm-hmm.
So I focused on that more, but my dad saw it as more of an issue and wanted to help me get better with taking care of homework and setting up not just homework, but setting up life skills, time management, learning how to prioritize projects and things like of that nature. My dad felt that this was something that, I could benefit from. So I guess while he was doing what he did, he found out about the Upper Bound program.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke with Doris, and one day at lunch, he shows up at the school with Doris, and we have lunch and we talk about the Upper Bound program.
Mm-hmm.
She explained it to me, and it sounded like, summer school, really? Who wants to do summer school?
I think that's everybody's been right. Yeah, nobody wants to do summer school.
But the way that she brought it up, it's like, okay, I'm going to be doing something over the summer. I'm not going to be at home, but I'll still be able to talk to my parents. I'm going to be hanging out with people that from my school. I might know them, I might not. But I also get to meet other people from other schools and other areas.
Yeah.
And I get a chance to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Let me try it. Go ahead.
Getting a cameo from one of your kids?
Yeah, she wanted a
Your kids are more than welcome to cameo, by the way. If they want to come into the podcast and say a couple of words, they're more than welcome to.
Okay. Let's see. They all, when I start doing like video conferences and things, they all scatter. They don't like being seen. They don't like being heard.
Yeah. They're more than welcome to say a couple of words if they want.
Say hi to Juan. Say hi.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good.
So this is Riley.
Hi, Riley.
Hello.
She's my. Oh, you're 8th grade now, aren't you?
You're an
She's
8th
my
grader.
8th grader.
Whoa.
She's going to 8th grade in the fall. She's also my little cross country and track star.
Right on. That's awesome.
Soccer, my bad, and soccer.
And soccer. You forgot the other one on there, Ralph.
My bad. Just the movie that she's doing.
So do you want to say a couple words about your dad?
Like what?
Well, so this is so we're a podcast, and you can say whatever you like. Do you like the activities that you and your dad do? Do you like hanging out with him? Anything, pretty much. She has to think a little bit.
She's the thoughtful one.
She is the thoughtful one.
Thinking.
Yeah. We'll make sure that whatever you say gets into the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So we got a shrug and an so
it sums it up pretty nicely.
I would say so.
Oh, she's my 8th grader.
8th grader.
Mm-hmm. I've got a junior starting next year.
You got it. Yeah.
I got a junior. I got me a freshman and an 8th grader.
Yeah.
6th grader. Oh my gosh. Dude, I'm getting old.
Well, I'm right there with you, Ralph. I mean, I have a high schooler that's going into his junior year. I've got a middle one that's going into middle school, and then still one in elementary. So I've got them spread out. But I feel you.
Oh man, Juan, we're there, man. We are there.
We've arrived, sir. We've arrived to grown-up status.
I don't want it. They can take it back.
Can you take it back? I mean, we could try.
Yeah, no. I guess you're only as old as you feel, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Absolutely. So sorry, Ralph. I didn't mean to derail your train of thought, but we were in the middle of you talking about Upward Bound and how you joined. You had a lunch with Doris. You had a lunch with your dad. You got into the program because you figured, hey, it's people that are from your school and might not be so bad after all for the summer. So you want to start off from there, or?
Yeah, so I felt like for me, I like meeting new people. I like learning people. You know, I'm a
Yes.
people person.
I can
You know, that
attest
is
to that. I can attest to that.
So the more people I know, I feel richer. You know, the more people I know, because
Yeah.
then I can go to somebody else and bring something up, and
Sure.
it's just I wanted this opportunity just so that I could do something more.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll sign up. I'll do the Upward Bound program. And it's during the summer, and it's not like I was going to be doing a whole lot for my summer anyways, so why not?
So with that experience in mind, with those thoughts in mind, what was the experience like being in Upward Bound for you?
I would say Upward Bound made my high school years.
Oh, wow.
Tell
us about
I
that.
think I looked forward to the Saturday meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I looked forward to the summer, not
Mhm.
because I didn't have to go to school, but because I could see my friends
Mm-hmm.
again. I could spend more
Yeah.
time with my friends. Yeah, I was learning. I had to go to school in the summer. Nobody in school likes going to doing extra school. But I think that for me, it was a small price to pay to see my friends again. You
Yeah.
know? So I loved being in Upward Bound.
Yeah.
It was the highlight. Outside of, you know, the band, the stuff we did with band, it was the highlight for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I will come in and say that. So we both, again, for the audience, we were both in Upward Bound. We were both in band. Now we had an opportunity to kind of know each other in band, but I felt like Upward Bound bridged that getting to know each other a whole lot more than band did. And I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you felt the same way.
It did. I think in band, your circle. I mean, you played clarinet. You were a woodwind. I was a drummer.
Yeah.
So your circle included, you know, Michelle and Selena and, you know, Tanya and some of the other, you know, clarinets and woodwinds.
Sure. And you were with the Rowdy Bunch with the baritones.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. And then of course we're sitting right there, back there by the tubas and trombones.
Mhm.
So, we didn't spend a lot of time talking because we sat on sides.
Yeah.
You know? So we rarely interacted during band, but in Upward Bound, I mean, those things were gone. And the fact that we had band in common, we both came from Clovis, we're both going to CHS, you know, in being able to meet and meeting new people for the first time, the first thing you do is you look for something familiar, you know?
Absolutely.
We had a shared interest in band, so it was natural to gravitate to you.
Oh, likewise. I was like, I recognize this person. Yeah.
Yeah, I know who this is. I'm gonna go sit by him because I don't know these other folks, and I'll get to know them. But this one here, I can start here.
Yeah,
you know? And it just grew and grew from there. And it's today I still think of you as, I mean, you're my brother.
Oh yeah, likewise.
Brother from
another mother. And from one brother to another, I felt like Upward Bound gave us that opportunity to connect because for me, I was an extreme introvert. I did not want to socialize, I was like, let me do my work. I'm here to do work. And I was frightened to death knowing that there was going to be this whole social group around me, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God. So when I saw you and when we started sitting there, I was like, I'm so glad I have somebody that I can at least talk to because I'm scared to death with this entire program.
Oh, yes. I remember the the big shy Juan, you know, introvert, kept to himself. And when you're sitting right next to you, trying to talk to you, still got to strain the ears because you kind of whispered,
Yeah.
you know. I think for me, meeting you was great because I felt like it was fun and it was a challenge to try and pull you out and get you to experience the world outside of an introvert.
Yes.
And you got to tell me what it was to, you know, buckle down and do what needs to be done. You know, and kind of that being to yourself and keeping to yourself is not a bad thing.
Yeah. But I will give you a ton of credit because you helped me realize that it's okay to be social. Because when I saw you, you were a social butterfly. You would talk to everybody. I mean, it didn't matter what walk of life that you just were able to, you were so relatable, you are still very relatable, personable, approachable. You're very charismatic still. And so there was areas where I was like, man, this guy knows how to connect with people. And you saw me see another world beyond just my four corners of my own world.
Well, I'm glad, you know, I'm glad we were both able to gain from that. You know, it's amazing. And I loved it, every moment of it.
So your social skills actually helped the Upward Bound program because I feel like the program administrators like Doris and Claudia and all of them really relied on your role to help other students assimilate and find harmony. Do you find that as a fair assessment?
You know, I could say I can attest to that and say yeah, because I did spend a lot of time with them talking and you know, especially when we brought new people in. I didn't realize it then, but you know, every time I realized that every time we had new people, I was always part of that group that welcomed them in, no matter where they came from.
Yeah.
So that being said, I mean, wow, I did not know. I mean, till now, when you bring that up,
whoa, what?
I did not realize that that's what they was doing with me.
You were very much the face of the Upward Bound program as we were going through it. You were, to me, it felt like the person that would help transition others to the program and introduce them to the program. And as they got used to it, they saw you, we all saw you as a leader, as a person that would help that transition of, hey, don't be scared. Our program is something different from high school, from what you've experienced. These are a wide range of people that are going through the same thing you're going through. And everybody saw you as that piece of, this person is helping me transition and is making me feel a little bit more secure about where I'm at.
Yeah, I remember having a lot of those conversations with, and it felt like a lot of the people that were coming through, I mean, they were the ones that were more shy and wanted to kind of keep to themselves. I think I gravitated towards them because naturally I want to pull them out and have them experience what we're doing. You
Absolutely.
know? So I do remember a lot of those conversations where it was, yes, it's scary. You know, you're in a surrounding where you don't know anybody. Well, my name is Ralph. You now know me. So anytime you need something, my door's open. You know what room I'm in. You know what class I'm in. I can't hide from you. So if you need me, just call me. I'm right here, and I'll be more than happy to, you know, answer any questions. If you just want someone just to sit next to you while you're quiet, sure, you can bring me a book. I don't mind. I like to read.
Yeah. I remember our bridge year. I was very fortunate to be paired with you as my roommate because as seniors and going into our bridge program, we were able to experience something completely different. And you and I being paired, I was very fortunate. Now that I reflect on it, it's like we connected not only through Upward Bound, but our bridge year, we just really helped each other out, I felt.
I think the bridge year was the scariest one because now we're not doing high school programs anymore.
Oh, yeah.
These are real college. This is college.
Yeah.
This is what college is going to look like. Oh my gosh. I'm not ready for this. Cool. I got smooth, cool Juan over here who's not going anywhere and he's nice and solid. So I'll stick with him, you know, and you know, if I have questions, I can go to Juan. He'll be able to help me, especially in Spanish class.
Oh, I love the Spanish class.
Spanish class. I think that was, of all the classes we took, that one was the best.
Yes, I
Our
agree.
instructor he was amazing.
He was outstanding. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, kind of bringing it back a little bit, what is your favorite memory of Upward Bound?
Ooh, my favorite memory of Upward Bound actually was our talent show.
Our talent? Oh, yeah. I remember.
Talent.
We're going to have to play a clip for the audience if I can find it. I think I have a video of it, Ralph, somewhere.
Oh, my goodness. If you have that clip, I would love to see it.
I think I have the clip.
Where you essentially abandoned me up on stage to sing in a language I don't speak very well.
But you did so great, Ralph. You did so wonderful. You did great. It was a great cover.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
So for the audience, Ralph and I, we did a cover, a Spanish song cover. As we were singing, I left Ralph, and he was up there, singing on his own and in Spanish, and that was super impressive, Ralph.
Oh my goodness! See, that's why I was glad to have had those Spanish classes, and you as my roommate, so that helped out too.
That's amazing. I'm glad that that's one of your favorite memories. I will say, I'm glad that that's one of your favorite memories. So after we graduated, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's the one that I think about the most when I go back to Upward Bound. Oh my goodness, we had etiquette classes.
Yes, we did. Etiquette classes, we did.
Oh my! Learning what fork to use with what meal, how to set up and properly set up a dining table.
Yes.
Nobody uses that. I'm never going to use that again. But I did that for 3 years. I can tell you the difference between a salad fork and a main fork and a soup spoon and a regular spoon. Oh man! But those are the experiences that outside of Upward Bound, I never would have had that. I never would have known that there's a different type of fork for everything.
Absolutely, same. I think that Upward Bound provided those opportunities, right, for us to be more acclimated to when those opportunities came up, that we knew how to handle ourselves.
Yeah, we had those. It was very diverse.
Absolutely, agreed.
It was diversified in what it taught you. Not just how to be a good student, but how to be a good person. How to be a functioning adult when you get there.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that without Upward Bound, I don't know that I would have gone to college at all.
Agreed. The same for me. I think when we talk about Upward Bound and our experiences, schools always try to aim for this well-rounded individual. I feel like Upward Bound provides that finishing touch for all of us, for us first-generation students, is how do you become a well-rounded individual when you don't have all the attention from either your high school counselor or from other resources that are, supposed to be there to kind of help guide you along. I felt like Upward Bound was there to round us off.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know in school, it's hard to see your counselor because your counselor has, the school to work with.
Oh, yeah.
I know in our college, our counselor stayed with us. So I know our graduating class was over 300 students. You've got one counselor for 300 students.
That's already overwhelming the counselor by a lot.
Exactly. And then, Upward Bound, we obviously they don't have 300 students over the summer. Yeah. But so they're able to provide that, that clear one-on-one, let me help you in a group type of setting that is, it's nice. And
absolutely.
A lot of the instructors, I don't think that all the instructors were actual teachers for every class. Some of them were volunteers that were they were knowledgeable in what they did. Yeah. So they took time out of their summer from doing whatever it was that they could be doing, and they taught us. They watched us. They monitored us. They kept us safe.
I remember.
That, to me,
yeah, absolutely. I think I remember, and I think you'll remember this one as well, is Mr. Leonard Leary, who taught communications and public speaking for us.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Mr. Leary the man was harsh.
Oh yeah, but he was.
he was extremely harsh, but I don't think that he was unfair in his harshness.
Oh,
And
no.
he was really straightforward with you. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If you slacked off and he could tell, he called you out on it.
Oh,
Plain
yeah.
and simple,
Absolutely.
But if you did an amazing job with your speeches while we were doing that, if you did great, he was right there. He was the first one to tell you how good it was.
Yeah.
I became a better public speaker because of his classroom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even being able to write English papers, I became better at doing that from a communication class. The English class was great, but the communication class with Mr. Leary taught me how to write and how to speak and make sure my audience knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He's the one that taught me that it is not the audience's job to understand what you say. It is your job to say what you're saying in a way that your audience understands.
Absolutely. That always will always stick in my memory too, is Mr. Leary holding us accountable to our speeches, holding us accountable to our work. And I think for a lot of us in Upward Bound, that's kind of where public speaking became it became ingrained in us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Like I love that you're doing the podcast here, but I'm going to be real and honest. Back in high school, this is not something I could see you doing.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
You would not talk to people like this.
No. Yeah.
So the fact that you are doing this right here, which is completely opposite of what you were and what you would have done back in high school, this tells me that the program did what it was intended.
Yeah, I agree.
Bam! There we go. I love it.
Ralph, and I love the summary that you gave, Ralph. That's amazing. But the audience really wants to know more about you. After you graduated high school, I remember you and we went to Eastern for a little while. And what came next after that?
Well, I attended Eastern for about 2 years. I was studying for music, wanted to be a band director.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I actually started a family like halfway into I want to say the first semester of my second year.
Mm-hmm.
I started a family. My son was there, and he was born that very next January. And it was hard to balance the two, school versus taking care of the family. So eventually I ended up leaving school and started working full time.
Yeah.
I did a lot of odd and end jobs. Did a stint in being a correction officer there at Curry County Detention Center.
I do remember that.
I did that for about 1.5 years. After that, we moved to Farmington, where I did security at one of the casinos out there.
Oh, wow.
I kind of fell in love with security work. Okay. I loved it. Back in 2000, I want to say 2006. 2006. I came to visit my mom out here in Phoenix because she had moved out here to Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So I came to visit her, surprise her for her birthday. And I stayed out here for like 2 weeks. Fell in love with it in September.
So you were completely in love with Phoenix.
I fell in love. The winter times out here are amazing.
So I hear.
It was great. So I stayed out here for 2 weeks and was like, you know what? After 4 days, I was like, let me put some applications in. Let me see if I can get a job.
Yeah.
Didn't get anything, so I ended up moving back to Clovis, where I worked for Pizza Hut, just being a delivery driver just for now. And then I got a call from Esmeralda, who's a temp. She does temp jobs for Adecco, or at least she used to. And she's like, Amazon is hiring. Do you still want a job? I'm like, well, I'm in Clovis now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it out to you. She's like, well, I'll hold the spot for 2 weeks. If you can get out here, come see me, and we'll get you to work. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I packed up, flew back out here, drove back out here, Started working for Amazon. I did that for about 6 months, and then the contract ended. So I got a different job working, again, odds and end warehouse jobs. And then she called me back early February. Hey, we're about to pick up again. Do you want another job? Yes. So I started working again for the temp agency.
Uh-huh.
After about 3 months, Amazon hired me on full time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did warehousing. Worked for Amazon for almost 2 years. When I left there, I stayed in warehouse, and then I got into customer service. Big with Activator Methods. They are a chiropractic firm. I stayed there for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
2 years, and that started my customer service journey. That's where I wanted to be. Because I like helping other people. I like making people feel better about a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ended up at Farmers.
Wow.
My main job at Farmers is I'm the first notice of loss. So if you get into an accident and you need to file a claim, bam, I'm one of any other CSAs that you would be talking to get your claim.
Ralph, that's amazing. That the type of work that you've done that led you to customer service and being able to connect with people. I'm honestly not surprised. That's the type of person you are. You're that person that reaches out, or they reach out to you and you connect with them immediately. You find connections and you make value out of that. Where people would call typically, right, a center and say, you know what, had a terrible experience. This person was not listening to me. But you seem to reach out, or when they reach out to you, you make them feel comfortable and better about a situation that they're probably not very happy in.
Yeah. Oh, we've had some very unhappy people. And some of them, I mean, they were very unhappy and angry throughout the entire call. But
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand, they're mad at the situation. They might be mad because you're on the other line, but they're not mad at you. So let them be mad. It's allowed. Let them be mad. That's my take. So they don't bother me until they start directing it at me. Then I have that conversation. But other than that, you can be as mad as you want to. As long as we can get through what we need to get through and get our job done, I call that a win.
Absolutely. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about your college experience? The 2 years that you were at Eastern, how did you enjoy them? What did you like about it?
The biggest thing that I liked the most was the freedom.
Oh, freedom.
I got to build my schedule around how I wanted to do it.
Mm.
I'm a morning person. So all of my classes, I was in my classes and done before 1 o'clock most of the time.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I'm fitting in my classes. Most of the time I'm done by 1 o'clock, and I've got from one till I go to bed to be done with to do whatever I want with my day. So the freedom of it was the best part for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then you run into, you still are meeting new people from different backgrounds and getting those interactions. So I was in heaven. I had freedom that I didn't have before. I got interactions and new people on a almost daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
When I didn't have that before, new experiences, because marching band in college is a definite big difference than it is in high school.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I felt like in high school it was more strenuous.
Strenuous, competitive, yeah.
College we were laid back. Okay, do what you need to do done. Laid back about it, and it was awesome, but for me, and then of course you got your fraternities and sororities.
Sure.
Interacted with those, but they weren't a big thing for me because I'm not one that always wants to fit in anyway. So joining in a fraternity for me would be molding myself to fit their criteria.
Yeah.
No, for me. I'll interact with you. I'll hang out with you. We can go party and stuff together, but I don't know if I'm going to be joining much.
Ralph, you always remind me of the person that likes to go off on their own path. You don't like to be molded by others. You like to not even set the mold. You just like to say, hey, I'm on my path. If you want to follow, cool. But I hope that you're learning from this path.
Yep. even if it was the hardest one to travel.
Yes.
There has been paths that I have followed that if I had just listened to somebody else and did what they told me, I wouldn't have had the issues that I did. But then if I did that, I wouldn't get the experience that I also
Right.
gained from going through it. So it's a give and take. I like being a nonconformist.
And that's what I enjoy most about you, Ralph, that you're a nonconformist and that you always are a trailblazer for others.
Awesome. Thank you, Juan. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. So college, first 2 years, you liked it. Tell us about either what happened in that transition that you decided, you know what, it's time for me to give up college. I'll put a pause to it and do something else.
For me, people like to say that after high school, college is your next thing. That's the next thing for you.
Yeah.
That's what you need to strive for. I never liked school. I never did. I did it because from kindergarten to my senior year, that was my job. That's what I had to do. My job was to get up, go to school, get good grades, and go home. And
but now, Ralph, I will say that you've always struck me as a studious type, that you've read a lot of books. You were so studious. You were you still are very knowledgeable. And from what I can recollect, that academics was a huge part of you.
Academics came naturally. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably the laziest student you've ever met. I'm going to be real. I mean, there's a reason why my dad set me up with Upper Bound. It wasn't because, he wanted me to have the experience. He wanted me to get the help. I was lazy. I hated homework. I wouldn't do homework. Like I said before, I mean, as long as I got, A's and B's on my tests, I didn't care about the homework. I really didn't, So especially in math. Math was such an easy thing for me to grasp. It took me very little time. So I didn't feel the need to go home and spend 45 minutes doing 40 problems. Why?
Yeah.
I could spend 45 minutes doing something else. Studying. No, I hated studying. My studying was done the night before the test. They weren't cramming. But that's what worked for me.
Yeah.
I hated it. So when I wanted something different. The college experience for me was for me to find out what I wanted and what I liked. I loved band. Growing up, band, I started in 6th grade. So band naturally was something I liked. So I felt that if going to college, studying band, it would help me get through the academic portion of it and get through it so I can continue to do what I liked. But ultimately, I'm not really cut out for school and probably not going to be doing this much longer, kind of played through. And I felt like for me, it was time for me to do something different, time for me to find my niche, my skill. I'm passionate about music and I love music, but I don't want to spend 4 years, or for a music professional, 5 to 6 years learning this stuff to then go and teach it to somebody else. For me, finding a skill or finding a career in something that you are not only passionate about but enjoy more, I think that is what struck me. And I think mainly that's why when my son was born, it was easy for me to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and table this college discussion and try this again at some other point. I want to go, I'm going to go live life. I'm going to go work and I'm going to go take care of the family, So that's where it went for me.
And that's very admirable, Ralph. I think that when students choose to stop or decide that it's time to try something else, that's a good moment for them to follow the path that they really want to see and develop into. And that is certainly very
It definitely speaks to your character, right? You want to break from the mold and not continue being part of a mold. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think, college, they're right. College is not for everybody. But that doesn't mean that everybody can't try it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is don't knock it till you try it. Maybe high school isn't your thing, okay? Because going to high school is different than going to college, okay? It is structured so much differently.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe getting out of the typical humdrum of high school and getting into college where you build your own schedule. What works for you, you set that up. Try it, okay? And I mean, what's one more year? If you don't like it after that year and you can't find any value in continuing, you're still not hurt in the long run. It's early enough
Absolutely.
that you probably don't have, thousands of dollars in debt, but you also have some understanding of what you probably might want to do. So you can still go out there and pick up a trade, pick up another skill, and still build you a life with that.
Yeah. I like that, Ralph. That's really good. Talk to us about your role models. Who served as an inspiration to you?
My biggest inspiration was my dad.
Oh, yeah, your dad?
My dad was my biggest inspiration. He was military man. He retired after 30 plus years.
Wow.
He retired from the Air Force. But every day he got up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
He went for a mile run, came home. At times he would cook breakfast. Other times he'd just wake us up, get us where we needed to go, come home, cook dinner, help us with homework that we needed, study. He would study after all of that.
Really?
He would come in and study for either his next promotion or for, schooling that he was going into, while he was outside of that. And then he still found the time to show us, that loving father,
Yeah.
from working on football skills, basketball skills, baseball drills, taking us to interacting with us, laughing with us, playing, games with us. My dad, while he spent a lot of time in the military and doing a lot for this country, he still made it known that he loved us.
Oh, that's great.
I've got so many memories, so many things, and then my mom as well is another one. She didn't go to college right after school. She was married. She had a family. She had to manage a household. She was, at 20 years of age, she was away. She was out of the only country she had ever known and was in a whole new country.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Where she was the minority, couldn't speak with everybody that she encountered. So she learned how to speak Japanese on her own. She taught herself. She didn't go to school. She taught herself. And then after we got back to the States, she worked overtime. She went to school. She put herself through school. She got through school. She worked. She was still able to feed us. She was still able to attend all of our extracurricular activities. And between the three of us, me and my two brothers, and all the sports, athletics, Boy Scouts, this, that, and the other, there was a lot. So both of my parents being able to, one, improve their own life situation, while making sure that they took care of their family, is a big inspiration to me.
Awesome. That's great to hear, Ralph. And thank you so much for opening up and sharing that part with the audience. So what do you see what's coming up for you next, Ralph? What's next for you?
Oh, you know what? I don't see what's coming up for me. I'm currently building my skill set within my job. And I'm thinking of a new career within my job network. But I find that where I'm at right now, as long as I can continue to improve and build on my skills where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
I can look at what's going to happen later on. You know, my biggest focus now is I've got a junior in high school who needs to prepare himself for what he wants to do going forward. You know, so, and I got me a new freshman who's also going to start, because now her grades start mattering.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I'm not worried about what I'm going to be doing 5 or 10 years down the road. You know,
Okay.
I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Okay. Are there any goals that you still wish to see accomplished?
For myself, yes. The one goal that I want for myself is to have my own home
All right.
that I'm paid for, that is mine, and be able to take my kids to Okinawa, where I grew up.
That's awesome.
I would love to be able to do that.
That's awesome, Ralph. Well, I think we're at the end of our podcast, Ralph. I want to first say how much I appreciate you being on here and to be able to reminisce and discuss the memories with you in Upward Bound. What are some parting words of wisdom or words of encouragement to either current Upward Bound students that maybe from outside of Eastern New Mexico, or maybe attending the ENME Upward Bound program now, or words of encouragement to Upward Bound staff or TRIO staff?
So to the students, what I want to say to you guys is never give up. Okay? Don't. If somebody says you can't do it, prove them wrong. Okay? Do what makes you happy. Okay? You want to try new things, try new things. If you want to stay in your little bubble, you're not going to want to do that. Okay?
Yeah.
You're not going to, because you're not going to experience all that life can offer. Okay?
Yeah.
Step outside. It doesn't have to be a big step. Okay? Take it small. Talk to somebody that you don't know at the grocery store. Say hello. Strike up a conversation. Small little things, you know. Strike up a conversation with the person checking you out at the grocery store. You know, you probably won't see that person again unless you're shopping at the store on a regular. So you got nothing to lose.
Right.
Okay? Step out, you know, explore, try new things, okay? And never give up. To the staff, patience, okay? We are children. We are not, we know everything. There's nothing you can teach us, I promise you. But know that once we grow up, we will remember you, okay? Patient. Teach what you can, okay? Be there for the student. We will remember and we will love you for it. No matter how hard you were on us, we will.
That's awesome. I love that. Any words to Doris, who might be listening?
Doris, I love you. Thank you so very much for taking that time to sit down and talk to me and bring me into Upward Bounds. I loved every single moment of it. And Susan, I don't want to forget you, because Susan, you were there when Doris finally said she was done and moving on. You picked it up and there was no change. You kept us there. And I love everything that you guys did for us. Thank you.
So Ralph, doing a quick shout out for the Eastern New Mexico University Trio Upward Bound former staff, Susan Cramp and Doris Anaya. Ralph, It was such a pleasure having you on the podcast. We need to keep catching up like this, either through video conference and just phone calls or whatever. I'm on the other end, man, and I know I need to also do a better job of following up as well.
Man, I'm happy that I was able to do this with you. Thank you for the invitation, and we definitely will we will be doing this more often.
Oh yes, I'm going to have you on the podcast again.
I love it, man. I can't wait.
Fantastic. And that was Ralph Parson III joining us for Let's Talk Trio.
Are you a participant, alum, or staff of a TRIO program? Do you want your program highlighted? You or your program could be featured in an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Trio. Get a hold of us by going to our Facebook page or Instagram and send us a direct message. Search for Let's Talk Trio. We want to get your story to the public.
What a great episode with Ralph Parson III, trio alum of Upward Bound at Eastern New Mexico University. Ralph, it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for sharing your experiences and really having a good message for the staff and the students. And it was just a really great episode to reminisce with Ralph. I like sitting back and just being able to remember and recall and really think about how far the Upward Bound programs have come, especially serving first-generation low-income students. And we continue to tell these stories, share these stories, so people outside of Upward Bound or outside of TRIO know what their money is going into is investing in these programs that really provide a lot of hope for students. So Ralph, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'd like to take a moment to thank our podcast team, John Russell, our audio engineer and music composer, Amelia Castañeda, our marketing manager and producer, Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. Honorary members of Let's Talk Trio include Scott Kendall, Roger Chambers, and Tony Ho. Remember, you can request to be on the podcast. We'd like to feature your story, so please send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on Instagram or Facebook. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Student Access and Angelica Villalpando. You too can be a sponsor. Go over to Patreon, sign up for a sponsorship. You can choose any dollar amount and be a monthly sponsor to our podcast. It really helps cover a lot of basic expenses for our podcast, and you help make sure that the podcast keeps going. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.